We may be experiencing a cyber attack on social media infrastructure, and the reason why and why this is important is that it is Super Tuesday. Right now, there are notices going out saying, don't forget to go vote. And many people have found themselves unable to log in to their Meta platform social media apps. That includes Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. A lot of older people get their information on these platforms, and these platforms send out these reminders. The interesting thing is, I suppose the question should be, who would do it and why? Facebook notoriously, according to Dr. Robert Epstein, sent out reminders to every Democrat in one election and only around 59% of Republicans. The accusation, I believe the number, I could be wrong on those numbers, but the general accusation is Facebook is manipulating the election by telling people to go vote if they vote in the right way. By reminding every Democrat and only some Republicans, you will increase the amount of Democrat votes relative to Republican ones. So you have to wonder who might do this. Now, that being said, this may not be a cyber attack. We don't know for sure, but it is highly suspect that there's this massive outage right now. Everybody gets logged out on Super Tuesday, one of the most important election days in a presidential cycle. The Independent reports Facebook, Instagram, Messenger down. Meta platforms suddenly stop working in a huge outage. Now, there have been some people saying YouTube and X are down as well. I believe Down Detector is showing a minor outage, but it appears to be a blip, and the platforms never stopped working for me. And for all of you, you're watching this on YouTube right now. The Independent says users found themselves unable to load the apps or websites as normal on Facebook. Affected users found they had been logged out and were unable to get on. Well, Instagram refused to work at all. The warnings about being logged out led to widespread concern among users that their accounts had been hacked, and a variety of concerned phrases trended on Twitter and X. But the error message appeared to be the result of problems with Facebook's login system, not a hack or cyber attack. Again, that being said, when it comes to the AT&T outage, the media has largely tried to downplay these, despite the fact they're being investigated as cyber attacks. I don't know, or I should say the AT&T hack was. There's currently a cyber attack against our healthcare system. It's still underway. I think there are interests in media to downplay this out of fear of escalation into war at a time when we're dealing with internal political disputes. And it's not a war that the establishment wants. They want the war in Ukraine. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. I just think it's in their interest to downplay it. You've got the corporate press saying, no, the AT&T outage was not a cyber attack, they think. And I'm just like, why is the corporate press reporting that the AT&T outage is definitively not a cyber attack when all we know for sure is that AT&T said they don't believe it was? That's not proof of anything. Why is the media saying that? So for now, there is speculation it is not a cyber attack, and it is the assumption, and it is the hypothesis it is. We don't have any evidence to suggest it is. It is only because it's Super Tuesday that a lot of people are wondering, how could this have happened, and why on a day like today? Meta does not run official status pages for its consumer products, and it was yet to post any update on the outage on its official accounts, such as those on Twitter and X, which is why I don't see why they're claiming it is not a cyber attack. They just wrote that. There's no evidence to suggest it is or isn't. Speculation is that it is because of the day. Interesting. Tracking website Down Detector showed vast outages as Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger on Thursday. However, the problems were spotted across the world, suggesting the outage could be global. Sure, whatever. Here's Down Detector right now. As we can see, Facebook experienced a massive spike, but the spike appears to be going down. Google, Verizon, T-Mobile, Google Play, X, AT&T had a minor spike, not really. Threads, WhatsApp, Oculus, Gmail, TikTok, Snapchat, Pokemon Go, Reddit, Honeywell, Valorant. Okay, full stop. All of these systems on Down Detector, I shouldn't say all of them because SAP Concur seems to be fine. Let's refresh here. They seem to be experiencing major outage spikes. Why are all of these systems getting hit? It could be that something utilized by X and Meta Systems, something they were using went down, and it's used by many other companies. Even Twitter, I like how they put X and they put Twitter in parentheses. was it reported 897 outages, but 897, not that much. When you go to Facebook, Facebook's way different. 532,129. So let's break down how something like this could happen, and then we'll talk about where we're currently at with cyber attacks. And I do have updates on cyber attacks that are currently underway in the United States. Let me put it this way. Some people likely did see T-Mobile, X, AT&T, Google, whatever go down, but not that many. So no one cares. Discord outages reported 4,660. That's massive. We had an AT&T outage a week ago, and now Facebook, and we're supposed to just assume everything's normal? Okay. I'm going to play this game with you, corporate press. Either we're under a cyber attack. What's that? That's a conspiracy theory? Fine. Then it's diversity, equity, and inclusivity programs resulting in people who don't know how to do their jobs. Pick one. Because why are we having massive outages 2 weeks in a row? Or I shouldn't say 2 weeks in a row, but within the span of a couple weeks. Here's what I think happens. Whatever it is that went down negatively impacted Meta more than everybody else. And because there are 500,000 people reporting the outage, the media picks it up. I'll put it simply. If 500,000 people go protest in the street, everyone's going to hear about it. If 5,000 protests, you might hear about it, maybe not. And so that's what's happening right now. It seems like the outages did affect a ton of different platforms, including Gmail. Gmail outages reported up to 542, not that big. T-Mobile outages, 1,000, not that big. Instagram outages, 83,680. And now people are going to start saying, what is going on? Here's the big news. It's Super Tuesday. On Super Tuesday, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia will be voting in their primaries. It's a very important day to send out those get out the vote reminders, to have this social media network go down. Now, we'll get into all this, but let's wrap up just a little bit here, which is really funny. Oh, hey, look, March 8th, American Samoa. Fantastic. Over on X, Andy Stone, who works for Meta, tweets, "We're aware people are having trouble accessing our services. We are working on this now." I just love the idea that they're not using threads to let everybody know what's going on. That Meta staff use X to tell people what's going on with their platform going down is just, so funny. Oh, so funny. And then, of course, we have Elon Musk getting savage, saying, if you're reading this post, it's because our servers are working. And you have many other X staffers being like, ain't no problem here. Let me show you one of Elon Musk's tweets, his posts. And it's the penguins from Madagascar, I think. And you've got Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Underneath it, Andy Stone saying we're aware people are having trouble accessing our services. And then X over the general penguin. There's 3 penguins, and one of them's a general. Elon Musk posted a meme making fun of them. It's very, very funny. So I don't know if this is a cyber attack. I would lean towards there's a decent probability, but it doesn't mean much. There are powerful interests around the world that subverting our elections would be good for them. And it could go either way. I mean, if Facebook is heavily supporting Democrats, as they've been in the past, then it stands to reason that whoever would cyber attack Facebook Meta systems while defending X would be biased in favor of Trump. No, for sure. At the same time, attacking our grid could just be a general attack on our grid. I don't know. I really don't. Shutting down communication on Facebook, which primarily is older people, could also negatively impact Trump as well. Here's what I find funny. Axios, reporting on the AT&T outage, said AT&T outage was not a cyber attack. Really? A definitive statement headline with quotation marks for some reason. Why? Here's what they report. AT&T says Thursday's outage, which left thousands of customers without service, was not a cyber attack the company believes. And there it is. They're not saying they have proof it was not. They're saying they don't think it was. Okay. I'm not saying it has to be. I'm not trying to tell everybody that it is or isn't. I'm saying the media is reporting it definitively when we don't know. The FCC, DHS, and FBI are reportedly all investigating the incident on Thursday, which may have led people to assume it was a cyber attack. In fact, Eric Prince on the Valuetainment podcast says he thinks it was China that did it. White House spokesperson John Kirby said there was no reason to think the incident was due to a cybersecurity issue, although AT&T is still investigating the root cause. Some people chatted into IRL saying they worked with the company and that it was a software update gone bad. Okay, let's go ahead and assume software update gone bad. And then Facebook and Instagram, Meta, goes bad within, I don't know, another week and a half. Okay, fine, I guess. I just think it's kind of weird that all this is happening right now. Marco Rubio warned when this went down, when AT&T shut down, that a Chinese cyber attack will be 100 times worse than AT&T outage, your power and your water. He's right. You don't got to like Marco Rubio, but he's right. There are things to consider. If we get hit with a cyber attack, it doesn't need to be like a nuclear bomb going off. It could be AT&T getting shut down. Phase one. Let's start with the first level. What is the purpose of a cyber attack? Disrupting communications, disrupting finance, disrupting business. In the event of war, shutting down communications is one of the scariest things because it allows the assailants to get a leg up and prevent us from preparing countermeasures. So if there is a cyber attack against our communication infrastructure, that is potentially precipitating physical strikes. Could be scary. But let's talk about the darker issue at play. I think we're at war, and I think war is a state that we're always in, but to varying degrees. You can argue that war is when the conflict crosses a certain threshold, fair point. But China has been cyber attacking the United States forever. So is Russia, so is Iran, all of our adversaries. Why? Why cyber attack AT&T outside of a military context? Shutting down communications shuts down economic activity, shuts down development of U.S. projects and expansion. You see, the military-industrial complex still relies on this system. We may print money and hand it out to them so they can build tanks, but someone's got to get the materials for those tanks, which means they need the entirety of U.S. economic infrastructure to facilitate the construction of weapons and otherwise. If China were to shut down communications, that means business deals aren't happening. That means transactions aren't happening. That means you walk to the store and say, I'd like to order a sandwich. And they go, sorry, our machine's down. And you go, I only bought my credit card. Sorry. If this inhibits economic growth by even a fraction of a percentage, it advantages our enemies. And so that may be what's happening. I don't know for sure. It doesn't have to be as bad as Rubio's warning. If we enter full-scale war, then don't be surprised if, it gets real bad real quick. And you wake up one day and your power is out. There's no communications. You turn the TV on, nothing. It's one of the scarier things about getting off analog. Will people's televisions be able to actually pick up analog signals through emergency broadcast or otherwise? I'm assuming they've got systems in place for this. But if we were about to be attacked, I'd imagine every country's grid goes down. Here's what I think. We know about industrial control system hacks. They're called ICS, industrial control systems. 12 years ago, I went to the DEF CON and Black Hat conventions, and working with Vice, we interviewed some people who showed us how to blow up industrial control systems from 40 miles away. My assumption is every major country has remote access tools within their enemy's infrastructure. Why wouldn't you? You can't defend against this. That means I'm willing to bet U.S. water, electric infrastructure, water reclamation plants, water pumps, chemical pumps. I'm willing to bet that Russia, China, Iran, they've got malware and their finger is over the button. And they can press it at any moment to either shut it down or blow it up. I think that's a reasonable assessment. Look at Stuxnet. Iranian nuclear centrifuges overloaded and exploded. How did they do it? Many of you may not remember Stuxnet. This was maybe 14 years ago now. It's crazy. This is a virus believed to have been, actually, let me pull this up. I'll tell you the story of Stuxnet. Terrifying, really. It's 2010. Yeah, okay. Developed in 2005. So it's 14 years ago this story breaks. A malicious computer worm first uncovered in 2010 and thought to have been in development since at least 2005. Stuxnet targets supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA systems and is believed to be responsible for causing substantial damage to the nuclear program in Iran. Although neither country has openly admitted responsibility, Multiple independent news organizations believe it was built by the U.S. and Israel in a collaborative effort known as Operation Olympic Games. The program, started during the Bush administration, was rapidly expanded in the first months of Barack Obama's presidency. It specifically targets programmable logic controllers, which allow the automation of electromechanical processes, such as those to control machinery and industrial processes, including gas centrifuges for separating nuclear material, exploiting 4 zero-day flaws. Stuxnet functions by targeting machines using Microsoft Windows operating system and networks, then seeking out Siemens Step 7 software. Stuxnet reportedly compromised Iranians' PLCs, collecting information on industrial systems and causing the fast-spinning centrifuges to tear themselves apart. Stuxnet's design and architecture are not domain-specific, and it could be tailored as a platform for attacking modern SCADA and PLC systems, blah, blah, blah. Let me slow down. Here's where it was really interesting. The general idea was that everything was infected. Everything. The Stuxnet virus was created and released into the wild, but it would not do anything until it found specific Iranian systems. As the story goes, you may have had maybe Stuxnet on your computer right now. I'm sure at this point, most antivirus softwares have purged it. But the idea was that they released it onto general computers, seriously, like regular people. And it spread itself very secretly until finally someone connected their Iranian systems to their networks and they had a compromised system. Then it took effect. They said it had 3 modules: a worm that executes all routines related to the main payload, a link file that automatically executes the propagated copies of the worm, and a rootkit component responsible for hiding all malicious files and processes. It typically introduced the target environment via an infected USB flash drive, crossing any air gap. The worm then propagates across the network, scanning for Siemens Step 7 software on computers controlling a PLC. In the absence of either criterion, Stuxnet becomes dormant inside the computer. If both conditions are fulfilled, Stuxnet introduces the infected rootkit onto the PLC and Step 7 software, modifying the code and giving unexpected commands to the PLC while returning a loop of normal operation system values back to the user. Here's why I'm telling you about this. The reality is, there probably are many dormant, apocalyptic weapons, malicious code infecting all of our machines that we cannot find. We don't know we're there. If you think a 2005 developed weapon discovered in 2010 is the end-all be-all of subversive malware to destroy economics and industrial systems and communications, you are insane. If anything, this is the tip of the iceberg. There are probably dozens or hundreds of comparable weapons ready right now for someone to press a button and your power goes out. It's a Mexican standoff, and everybody knows it. You know, when we talk about Russia, a lot of people are deeply concerned about nuclear weapons. And I think to myself, this is ancient technology. We're talking about weapons developed 80 years ago. 80 years ago. Could you imagine if in World War II they were like, someone's going to bring in a catapult? You'd be like, what? Okay, sure. 80 years before that, cannon fire. We might run into people launching cannons from their man-o-war off the coast. Huh? No. We knew about mechanized, industrialized warfare. By World War II, fully automatic rifles, mass production of weapons, industrial-level war was in its second stage. And then someone dropped, well, the United States did, atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The bombs we used those days are nothing. The current nuclear weapons that we know about, they have 1,000 to 1,250 times the explosive power of the bombs used in World War II. And that was as of the 70s. Are we really to believe that 50 years on, we've not developed more insane weapons of mass destruction? The reality is just no one's going to know about it. The reason the U.S. used the bombs, one of them, is that they wanted the world to know that we had them. And if you raised a fist against us, we would wipe out your entire population. And then the Cold War happened and both sides had very powerful nukes. Tsar-Bomba, reportedly being the most powerful, never even reaching its full capacity. And that was called a gravity bomb, dropped from a plane. The blast was so expansive and powerful that the plane that dropped it would fall 2 kilometers in the air straight down from the shockwave. Crazy. So what weapons do they have today? And why would we assume they're using this ancient technology? And it's not literally ancient. Right now, Meta went down. The reality is an intern probably spilled the coffee. Seriously. And now they're all freaking out like, you shorted the machine, you spilled the coffee. And that's really it. Because it's infinitely more likely. That being said, it is Super Tuesday. And of all the days for something like this to happen, it seems strange that it's happening now. You want to talk about cyber war? If cyber war were to really kick off, it'd be worse than you realize. CyberAttack continues to plague Montana pharmacies. Hackers behind the Change Healthcare ransomware received a $22 million payment. This is from yesterday. We are constantly under cyber attack. There was several months ago, MGM, I believe it was, casinos got hit by a massive ransomware attack, shutting down their computers. It was back to the old days. If you went to play games, it was all cash. Wild. How did they even track that? The money, it's crazy. I fear what will happen if war really does break out and people aren't prepared for it. There will be no internet. There will be no communications. You will wake up one day with no electricity and ain't nobody going to be watching a show like this. For now, we don't know what's going on. And by the time you watch this, maybe it's been resolved. But don't forget to go vote. Super Tuesday. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.